like we are online. All right, excellent, very good. So, hey everybody, it's Mike from Millennium Martial Arts. I am coming to you live for episode 216 of Time Out Tuesday. This past week, we finalized our the date for our annual black belt exam. It's a very big deal for us. We only test those that are going for either their first or some second or third degree, or beyond that black belt, only once a year. It's a pretty big deal. It's a very long test. It requires a lot of effort from a lot of people, not the least of which are the people that are testing for their new ranks. And this year we have 5 people testing for their first degree black belt, one person testing for a second degree, and one person testing for a third degree. So we have 7 people testing for a black belt. And it's a very exciting time for us because, as I mentioned, we only do it once a year. Even though, and I've mentioned this on many videos in the past, we don't talk about belts all the time and your next belt and getting your next belt and testing for your next belt. We actually try to downplay the importance of the belts and remind our students on a regular basis that the belts are just a measure of what you know, and this is an ongoing and a lifelong path, and there's really no end for this path. However, from a very practical perspective, we also recognize that people use those belts as a very strong goal and an impetus to continue working. And even though we, like most other schools and martial artists, will always say that earning a black belt is not the end, it's actually the beginning of advanced training. It's a representation that you've mastered the basics in karate and are now going to really delve in deeply. From a practical perspective, we know that earning a black belt is a major life goal. It's like earning your Eagle Scout, or something equal to that, I guess. We recognize that. I remember my first black belt and how proud I was of it and how hard I worked towards it. So we do realize that it's an important milestone, but we always downplay the belts because we don't want this to be all about just getting belts. Now, from a very practical perspective, many of the students that are testing for a black belt, 3 of them, for example, are in their senior year of high school. They're going to likely move on to college, and they'll be a little bit transient in the dojo for a couple of years. We hope to see them, when they, if they, settle back in here, we hope to see them back after college and certainly throughout the breaks. But when I think about the test and the importance of it, I'm able to look at it from a perspective that's a little bit different than most of our testers. Many of them started when they were very young. They could have started when they're as young as 3 years old, 6 years old, and their recollection of how they were and how they did in karate and what their strengths and weaknesses are not going to be as vivid as mine were, just because I'm just older, And so I'm able to look back on these students from when they were just tiny little kids, coming in with all kinds of quirkinesses and some strengths, some weaknesses, anxieties, all kinds of different, quirks and things like that. And it's been thrilling to watch them work through their struggles, work through some of their quirks, or maybe just develop their quirks into parts of their personality, or develop new quirks, as we all do as we get older. But to see these kids do the thing that I tell new students about, which is when a new student says, how long is it going to take me to get a black belt? I tell them, relax. Don't worry so much about how long it's going to take to get your black belt. Focus in more on the training. Earning your black belt is very easy. If you come to class and train and practice, you will eventually earn your black belt. it's easier said than done. There's a reason why there are not thousands and thousands of black belts everywhere you go. Even though it's just as simple as coming to class and training, most people, most, are just not able to keep up that regimen for years and years. Most people just don't have that stick-to-itiveness to be able to do that. And that's what makes earning that black belt very special. Now, obviously, it's even more rare to earn your second and third degree than it is a first degree. But as simple as it is to just come to class and train, most people will not do that. And most people will not do anything like it, meaning the very same people that may not be able to make their way all the way through black belt might also find themselves not making their way through all kinds of other long-term goal type of things. We do believe that it's a real indication of the type of person you are. So it's a very exciting time for us. Time does fly, though. I remember these kids when they were like, this big. Some of them are now significantly taller than me. They outweigh me. They're stronger than me. And they're becoming awesome martial artists. Many of them will either become instructors at the school or already have become instructors in their upper brown belts. I'm incredibly proud of them, and I'm extremely excited to usher them into this next portion of their journey. So I hope everybody kind of rallies around these guys over the next couple of months, and the guys and ladies, I should say. Ushers, rallies around them, encourages them. These are going to be the leaders for the future in Rukyo Kempo Karate as we teach it. So with that said, I wish everybody peace and safety.